A report issued by the British government reveals that a post-study visa program, which is dominated by Indian graduates, is helping UK universities recover from financial losses and also expanding research opportunities. But what is the graduate route visa? It was introduced back in July 2021 and it allows international students to remain in the UK for up to 2 years, 3 years for PhD graduates after completing their studies. Now, this review conducted by the Independent Migration Advisory Committee, it actually focused on the graduate route visa. The utilization of the graduate route is primarily concentrated among 4 nationalities: India, Nigeria, China, and Pakistan. You know, these top 4 countries actually collectively represent 70% of all graduate visas, with India alone contributing over 40%. In fact, applications to UK universities have dropped because of the visa program uncertainty, but this report clearly says there's no widespread evidence a post-study visa for international students is being abused. This also comes as the Rishi Sunak government has been working on cutting immigration figures and introduced restrictions on bringing dependents, increasing salary requirements, among other measures. To discuss what this review means for Indian students, we have with us Sanam Arora, chairperson of the National Indian Students and Alumni Union from the United Kingdom. Thanks so much, Sanam, for joining us on The World 24/7. How do you see the committee's recommendation to retain the graduate visa route? Many Indian and international students studying in the UK, they actually assert that it is absolutely crucial.
Partially. Firstly, we really welcome the Migration Advisory Committee's recommendations to retain the post-study work visa as is. That is exactly what we had asked of MAC. That's what we had been doing as part of our Fair Visa, Fair Chance campaign. So we absolutely welcome it. We're delighted that the MAC has come out with this conclusion. However, it is really up to the UK government now to decide how it wants to use MAC's recommendations. I will, highlight that there has been a previous instance where the MAC was, not necessarily in favor of the post-study work visa, but the government still went and did it anyway. So, it's absolutely critical that the government now commits urgently to retaining the grad route as is and making no change to it.
In fact, Sanam, the committee has also warned against the use of recruitment agents by universities, which, as we know, often leads to mis-selling of courses and exploitation of students. Is this a challenge for students? And how do you think this issue can be addressed by the UK government?
I think we do. It was actually something that we had recommended to the MAC ourselves, that, there are, by and large, recruitment agents are a good part of the sector. They support the sector, but sometimes there can be unscrupulous agents. Every Tom, Dick and Harry claims to now be an agent, and they can often even sign up to aggregator platforms and there is enough unscrupulous behavior in the market that has caused us concern in the past. So we very much welcome MAC's recommendations in this regard as well. And I think, universities should, we've recommended multiple times on multiple occasions before on multiple conferences and forums here in the UK that universities should review their arrangements with their agents and make sure that all arrangements are genuinely student-centric.
Right, several UK universities, meanwhile, have also reported a big drop in international applicants. Are such trends likely to continue? And if they are, surely that's not good news for the UK.
Yeah, I think, look, there's been so much uncertainty that the sector has been dealing with. First, we ran a 7-year-long campaign to bring this graduate route to the UK in the first place. It came in 2019, started being effected a few years after, and we've only just had a little bit of stability. The last year's changes around, dependents and skilled worker salary thresholds, etc., we've already seen like a 40% drop from a lot of universities in the UK, or overall, I think we've seen 40% drop already in the January intake. And partly that is also because of the speculation about what's going to happen to the graduate route. So, and given the fact that, 70% of Indian students have told us that this is their number one requirement, they all love the UK, but this is a critical part of, the post-study work visa that, or the opportunity that the UK offers. My worry is that, yes, we will continue to see a significant decline in the numbers if the graduate route gets taken away, which is why commitment to stability from government urgently is absolutely key. And that's what the MAC has said, right? They've said no change to the graduate route is recommended, and we hope it stays that way.
In fact, Sanam, the National Indian Students and Alumni Union in the UK, which you head, also recommended that international students be delinked from immigration figures. How would you justify this argument?
It's actually a critical question, Risha, because in the UK we have got something called the net migration targets, and the Conservative parties repeatedly, with all change of governments, have said that they want to bring down net migration to tens of thousands or significantly lower numbers, etc. The problem is that international students currently, as counted as part of those net migration targets, the simple point is, how can a student who is here for a temporary period of time, a time-bound period of time, be counted as an immigrant, right? It makes no logical sense. Sure, there's reasons, for data comparisons internationally, but actually the major comparable international destinations like the United States, they don't count international students as immigrants. They count them in a temporary kind of bucket separately. Why? Because this rhetoric that students are immigrants and they're taking away our jobs or they're taking away our opportunities, like there's lies being spread. For example, things like international students are taking away the places of home students, when the fact is that international students are cross-subsidizing domestic British students. They're cross-subsidizing the world-class research that happens in British universities. So the fact is that if you were to logically do the logical thing, take international students out of this net migration target, i.e. de-link education from immigration, suddenly you'll find that immigration, the genuine picture of immigration, stable long-term immigration, is being more factually reported, more accurately reported. And the international students who the period of time that they're paying extra for healthcare for the NHS, they're paying, the immigration health surcharge, they're paying for everything they're here for, and they're paying X amount more than the average British person. I think there's all sorts of economic figures around this, but this is a sector that contributes more than £40 billion net annual revenue into the British economy.
Well, Sanam, thank you so much for joining us with those insights. Always a pleasure to talk to you.